The morning after my 18th birthday, I stood at the small kitchen sink, rinsing a coffee mug when I heard tires moving over gravel. Not fast, not aggressive, just steady, like someone who already knew exactly where they were going. Outside, the air still carried the chill of the night. The lake behind the cabin had that thin, silver sheen it gets before the sun fully rises above the trees. A few paper plates from the party sat stacked on the counter, and the faint smell of smoke from the fire pit clung to my hoodie. I dried my hands with a dish towel and glanced through the front window. A moving truck pulled into the drive. Behind it came my parents' SUV, followed by my brother's car. I didn't feel surprised. That was the strange part. My chest stayed calm, like my body had already accepted this moment long before it arrived. My dad stepped out first, smiling as if it were a celebration. He didn't knock. Instead, he opened the back of the SUV and pulled out a thick manila envelope, holding it like a gift. "We got everything sorted," he called out loudly, making sure the movers could hear. "This place is ours now." He said it casually, like stating the weather, like something already agreed upon. The movers climbed down from the truck, exchanging glances as they waited for direction. My mom gestured toward the porch as if she'd been there countless times. My younger brother Kyle stood nearby, hands in his pockets, lightly bouncing on his heels as he scanned the cabin, already choosing his room. I stepped onto the porch barefoot, still holding the dish towel. "Pack your things," my dad said, still smiling. "We'll need you out by the end of today." I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I simply watched him point toward the front door, then toward the moving truck, directing everything like traffic. That's when I noticed the other car, a dark sedan parked slightly off to the side, where gravel meets grass. A man in a suit stood beside it, calm and composed. Next to him stood a county deputy, hat on, folder in hand, waiting like this wasn't his first time witnessing something like this. No one in my family noticed them yet. They were too busy instructing the movers on what to carry first. I remained on the porch, quiet, letting the moment stretch. Because the night before, while everyone laughed and ate cake in the living room, I had stepped away for less than 2 minutes and pressed a single button on my phone. Just one. And now, there was a deputy standing in my driveway. I kept my expression neutral and walked down the porch steps slowly, like I had all the time in the world. I should step back for a moment. When I was 14, a letter arrived at our house in Chattanooga. It was the kind of letter that felt heavier than paper when I held it. Inside was a scholarship offer to a private college prep school across town, full tuition, merit-based, the kind of opportunity that can reshape a future. I remember walking through the front door after school, my backpack slipping off one shoulder, and finding my mom at the kitchen table. She had her phone tucked between her ear and shoulder, writing a grocery list while half listening to someone on speaker. I held the envelope up anyway, standing there like someone who still believed good news could pause everything. "Mom," I said, "I got in. They gave me a full scholarship." She glanced at it and gave a quick smile that didn't reach her eyes. "That's nice, sweetie," she said, then turned away to continue her conversation. My dad was in the living room watching a game. My brother Kyle's name kept coming up every few minutes. He'd been playing middle school football, and my parents had decided it was the most important thing happening in our house. Dad looked over briefly and nodded. "Good job," he said, before returning to the screen. Within 10 minutes, the conversation had shifted completely. Kyle had gotten into a fight at school that week. Not serious, just something that escalated into punches. He'd been suspended for a few days, and the entire household rearranged itself around that situation. My parents called the principal, insisted it was self-defense, and even hired someone to help him keep up with schoolwork. My mom baked cookies for his teammates and invited them over, treating the suspension like something he needed to recover from, as if he had been wronged. Meanwhile, my scholarship letter sat on the counter after I showed it to them, untouched, as if it wasn't worth reading. That night, after everyone went to bed, I opened it alone at my desk. I read it twice, then a third time, because it felt unreal to have something good happen without needing anyone's approval. I bought a cheap frame from a craft store and hung the letter on my bedroom wall, not for attention, but so I wouldn't later convince myself it hadn't happened. That was the first time I understood something clearly. My achievements were expected. Kyle's problems were treated like emergencies. The second time it became clear was the following year. Kyle, at 15, had one of those expensive bikes my parents bought him after a good season. One day, while riding around the neighborhood with friends, he clipped a parked car, scratched the side, dented the panel. The damage was significant, costing a few thousand to fix. I saw it happen from the front yard. I heard the scrape of metal. I saw his face pale for a second, then recover because he already knew what would happen next. My parents drove over, apologized, and wrote a check immediately. Later that week, they took him to a bike shop and upgraded him to a better one. They called it a lesson in responsibility. But when I was younger and accidentally broke a ceramic bowl my mom had kept since childhood, I was grounded for weeks. No phone, no friends, and a long lecture about carelessness. Kyle lost nothing. He gained something. That's when I stopped sharing good news in real time. Not because I wanted sympathy, but because I didn't want to keep offering parts of myself to a place that wouldn't hold them. I learned to stay quiet, manage my own emotions, and plan without asking permission. And that was the version of me my grandparents noticed. The cabin came into my life the way safe places usually do, quietly, gradually, without announcement. My grandparents, Warren and Evelyn Hale, lived about an hour and a half outside the city, near a lake and a stretch of dense woods. It wasn't fancy, but it was solid. Built with purpose, maintained with care. Weekends there felt like stepping away from noise. The drive was always the same. The final stretch on a narrow road, trees closing in, signal fading, gravel under the tires. Then the cabin roof would appear through the branches, and without thinking, your shoulders would relax. My grandfather always had something to fix. Porch boards, roof patches, hinges, wood splitting, gutters. He never hovered. He'd 26 minutes, 38 seconds, are held under the Hale Family Irrevocable Trust, executed and funded yesterday at 7:43 p.m. when the trustee reached legal age. The trustee is Mara Hale. He said my name like it was the simplest part of the statement. My mom made a quiet sound, part disbelief, part anger. "That's insane," she said. She signed it at a birthday party. I didn't look at her. I looked at the movers. They weren't focused on me like I had authority. They were watching the deputy, the court seal, and thinking about their work and whether they would still be paid. One of them quietly placed his tape gun on the truck's bumper. Another stepped back from the porch, hands open, as if avoiding involvement. Daniel glanced at the crew. "Gentlemen," he said, "you're not in trouble, but I need you to stop moving items until the deputy clears you to leave." The driver nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." That was the first shift. Not emotional, just practical. Everything paused because a neutral party had spoken. My dad noticed it too. His eyes narrowed as he watched the crew disengage from his instructions. He disliked losing control in front of others. He turned back to me. "You called a lawyer and a deputy on us," he said. I kept my voice steady. "I contacted a lawyer weeks ago," I said. "I didn't call anyone this morning." My mom stepped forward, still holding the marker like she had forgotten it was in her hand. "This is a misunderstanding," she said, her tone softening into the persuasive voice she used with teachers and neighbors. "We're not trying to take anything. We're trying to make sure she's protected." Daniel responded before I did. "She is protected," he said. "That is exactly what this trust provides," Ray scoffed. "So what?" he said. "She's going to live out here alone? A kid dealing with taxes, repairs, everything? She needs us involved." Daniel nodded slightly. "That's a family discussion," he said. "It's not a legal one." Then he turned to the deputy. "Would you like to review the trust documents and recording confirmations?" The deputy extended his hand. Daniel passed over a clipped packet. I saw the timestamp printed in the corner, along with a reference number. There was also a confirmation sheet from the county recorder portal. Small detail, but important. The deputy read carefully, then looked up at me. "Miss Hale," he said, "you are the current authorized trustee and legal controller of this property." "Yes," I replied. He nodded once and turned to my father. "Sir, at this point, you do not have authority to direct removal of anything from the cabin." My dad's jaw tightened. "We're her parents," he repeated, as if that should resolve everything. The deputy's tone remained even. Parents do not override property law, not when the owner is an adult. Kyle made a small sound from where he sat on a box. He rubbed his hands on his jeans, as if trying to undo what had already happened. My dad looked at him. "Get up," he snapped, then softened his tone. "Kyle, come here." Kyle hesitated. He looked at my mom, then at Ray, then at me, like he was trying to decide which version of reality to accept. Daniel noticed but didn't address him directly. Instead, he turned back to my dad and held up the documents they had brought. "Let's review these," Daniel said. He pointed to a section. "This signature line is presented as Warren Hale's signature. It is not." Ray started to speak, but Daniel continued without raising his voice. "The notary stamp lists a commission number that does not exist. The service referenced is not registered with the state's remote notarization directory." My mom blinked quickly. "We didn't forge anything," she said. "We used an online notary. Ray handled it." Ray stiffened. "I didn't forge anything," he said defensively. "I followed the instructions. It was a website." Daniel nodded. "I'm sure you followed what seemed easiest," he said. "The issue is that the process you used is not valid, and it becomes a legal concern when used to attempt a transfer you're not authorized to make." My dad's face turned red. "Criminal?" he repeated, as if the word itself was the problem. The deputy spoke again, calm and direct. "Title fraud is a real charge," he said, "and bringing a moving crew to remove property from a place you don't control can create additional issues." My mom placed a hand at her throat. "This is humiliating," she said quietly, then looked at me as if I had arranged this to embarrass her. I didn't respond. I watched Daniel take out a small notebook and write. Times, statements, details. No emotion, just documentation. Then he turned to me. "Mara," he said, "I want to keep this straightforward. If you want them off the property today, we can do it cleanly." I nodded. "What's the simplest approach?" "Step 1, he said, the deputy gives a clear instruction to stop and leave. Step 2, we issue written notice that returning without permission is trespassing. Step 3, we document everything for record." He spoke like a checklist, not a reaction. I looked at my family as he spoke. My dad scanned the trust summary, searching for a gap. My mom blinked repeatedly, trying to hold herself together. Ray stood tense, looking for someone to blame. Kyle remained seated, quiet, looking smaller than before. My dad looked up at me. "You planned this," he said. "You set us up." "I protected it," I replied. "That's all." My mom tried again, softer. "Mara," she said, "just talk to us. We can fix this. You don't need a trust. We can all be on the deed together. That's fair." Daniel looked at me, waiting. I didn't respond. I had already had that conversation in different forms for years, and it never changed anything. I turned to the deputy. "I want them to stop and leave today," I said. "No arguments." The deputy nodded and addressed my father. "You need to instruct your crew to stop and pack up. You and your family need to leave. If you refuse, you may be cited for trespass." My dad raised his hand slightly. "Okay," he said. "We'll go, but this isn't over." Daniel wrote that down. My mom reacted immediately. "Don't write that," she said. "He didn't mean it like that." "I'm recording what was said," Daniel replied calmly. Ray leaned toward my dad. "Just tell them to stop," he said quietly. "We'll deal with it later." Kyle stood up, glanced at me briefly, then looked away. The movers began stepping back toward the truck, careful and quiet, as if leaving a situation that could escalate. My dad called out to the driver, "Stop, we're done, pack up." The driver nodded. "Yes, sir." A quiet settled over the driveway as the ramp was lifted and straps were secured. The clicking of ratchets sounded louder than usual. Daniel handed the deputy a notice, and the deputy gave copies to my dad, my mom, and Ray. "Do not return without permission," the deputy said. My mom stared at the paper as if it didn't make sense. Then my dad looked at me again. This time his voice was calm but cold. "You think your grandparents would want this?" I didn't answer immediately. I looked at the cabin, the porch, the lake beyond it. "They chose this," I said. No one argued after that. One by one, the vehicles turned around on the gravel. Tires moved slowly, engines low. The moving truck left last. When they were gone, the space felt lighter, like the woods had reset. The only sounds left were wind through the trees and the deputy finishing his notes. Daniel remained beside me. The deputy asked, "Do you want to place anything on record?" "Yes," I said. "Just the facts." We stepped a short distance away near the old fence. The deputy asked questions. I answered clearly. Names, statements, actions, documents, no permission given, no items removed. He wrote everything down, then handed me a card with a case number. If they return, he said, call this number. Don't engage. I won't, I said. After he left, Daniel showed me a printed email from the notary platform. This is the IP log, he said, and the device fingerprint. It links the notarization attempt to the same device used to file the transfer forms. So it's traceable? I asked. Yes, he said. Very. He showed another page, a filing queue with multiple submissions. They attempted different versions, he said. Different dates, different names. This isn't just about the cabin. I stayed calm. What else? 2 key attempts, he said. A lien-style filing to cloud the title and a backdated shared interest claim. Both were rejected, but recorded. That clarified everything. This wasn't just a single action, it was a pattern. What do we do next? I asked. This becomes procedural, he said. Step 1, secure access. Change locks, remove shared entry points. Step 2, notify the county recorder to flag this property. Step 3, monitor filings for 30 days. Step 4, decide whether to take legal action. I sat on the porch steps, thinking through it in order. They'll try again, I said. Yes, he replied, likely through a different approach. I don't want conflict, I said. I want it to stop. That's the correct focus, he said. I made the decision. File what's needed. I want clear boundaries and documented protection. He nodded. Understood. Then he asked one more question. Do they have any of your personal documents? I paused. Possibly copies, I said. Then we add identity protection, he said. Credit freeze, password updates, account security. Okay, I said. We began paperwork from before today. Anything you saved? I nodded and began writing. Not quickly, just consistently. As I wrote, my phone buzzed again on the table. This time it wasn't my mom. It was an unfamiliar number. A voicemail icon appeared right after, followed by a second missed call. Daniel glanced at the screen briefly, then looked back at me. Don't answer unknown numbers today, he said quietly. Let it go to voicemail. I let it ring. When it stopped, a text came through from the same number. This is Attorney Fields. Please call me regarding your family's property situation. Daniel leaned closer, not taking the phone, just reading the message. His expression stayed neutral, but his focus sharpened. Good, he said. Now we have a clear line. He pulled out his own phone and took a photo of the message for records. Then he looked at me. This is a controlled situation, he said. We don't argue. We define facts. We respond in writing. I nodded. How do you want to handle it? Daniel opened his folder and pulled out a prepared draft letter with my name and the trust listed at the top. We send a formal response, he said. We outline the timeline, include the deputy's case number, attach the trust summary, and instruct them to stop contacting you directly and go through me. He placed the pages neatly on the table, then added, almost casually, and we request preservation of evidence. I looked up. What evidence? The device used for the notary attempts, he said. Emails, accounts, drafts, anything. If they delete something now, it can be interpreted negatively. He paused, then added in the same steady tone, this isn't about revenge. It's about preventing them from changing the narrative. I nodded once. Do it. Daniel began marking the draft with clean, precise notes. Outside, the wind shifted across the lake, and the porch chimes made a soft metallic sound. The cabin felt like itself again. For the first time that day, I felt my shoulders relax. Not because it was over, but because everything was structured. And structure was something I could work with. Then Daniel's phone chimed. He glanced down, and for the first time that morning, his eyebrows lifted slightly. They moved fast, he said. He turned the screen toward me. It was an attachment from Attorney Fields, a demand letter. At the bottom was a line that stood out immediately. It claimed my grandparents had signed a family agreement years ago, promising shared ownership of the cabin. Daniel didn't react emotionally. He just looked at me. Do you know anything about that? I stared at the screen, then shook my head. No, but I know where they got the idea. I stood up and walked inside the cabin, straight to the hallway closet where my grandmother kept old folders in a metal lockbox. I hadn't opened it since the funeral. I knelt down, pulled it out, and rested my hand on the latch. Then I looked back at Daniel. Stay here, I said. I want to show you something. The lockbox was heavier than I remembered. Plain metal, worn edges, simple key. My grandmother used it for important documents. Not out of fear, but organization. The key was in the kitchen drawer, exactly where she once told me it would be. My parents had never noticed. I unlocked it and lifted the lid. Inside were folders labeled in her neat handwriting. Taxes, insurance, deeds, medical, correspondence, and one I hadn't seen before. Family. I didn't react. I took it and brought it back to the porch, setting it carefully on the table. Daniel didn't touch it immediately. He looked at the label, then at me. "I need to ask," he said. "Has anyone accessed this since your grandparents passed?" "No," I said. "Not that I know of." He nodded once. "All right, let's handle this carefully." He put on thin gloves from his folder and opened it. Inside were a few items neatly arranged: holiday cards, a handwritten contractor note, copies of wills, older drafts, and in the middle, a single typed page. Daniel leaned in and read silently. When he finished, he turned the page over, blank. Then he looked at me. "This isn't what they're claiming." I exhaled slowly. "What is it?" He placed it in front of me. The title read, "Family Requests and Responses." It wasn't a contract. It wasn't a promise. It was a record. My grandfather had typed it, dated it, and signed it. The first entry, my dad asking to add family members to the deed. Response, no. The second, my uncle asking about selling part of the land. Response, no. The third, my mom asking to turn it into a shared vacation property. Response, no. Each entry had a date. Each ended with the same line. "This cabin is to remain intact. It will transfer upon our passing. This is not a family asset." My jaw tightened, not from anger, but clarity. Daniel tapped the bottom. "They're trying to present this as a shared agreement," he said, "but it's clearly a record of refusal." He held up the demand letter and compared the language. "They claim your grandparents promised shared ownership. This document proves the opposite." I nodded. "That's why they were so confident. They assumed there was something here they could use. Or they assumed you wouldn't check," Daniel said. He continued reviewing the folder. He found another handwritten page from my grandmother. "Gary tries to guilt, Ray tries to rush." Daniel didn't comment. He simply took a photo for records. Then he found a small envelope with my name on it. He handed it to me without opening it. I held it for a moment, then opened it carefully. Inside was a single sheet. "Mara, if anyone pressures you about the cabin or our savings, call Daniel Mercer. Do not sign anything. Do not give keys. Do not explain. Protect the cabin first. We trust you." No extra emotion, just instructions. I looked at it, then placed it on the table. Daniel watched quietly. "This letter is strong evidence," he said. I nodded. "It's also exactly how they were." Daniel gathered everything neatly. "Here's what happens next," he said. "We respond today. Attach the trust summary, the deputy's case number, and this memo. We ask them to withdraw the demand. And if they don't, then we file," he said. "Injunction, declaratory relief, and possibly further action based on the notary evidence." I didn't hesitate. "Okay." Daniel drafted the response right there at the table. Short, factual, structured, no accusations. He included a timeline. February 4th, trust executed. February 5th, attempted removal and fraudulent documents presented. Deputy present, case number included. Demand letter received, contradicted by documented memo. He attached everything and sent it. Within 2 hours, Attorney Fields replied. It wasn't an apology. It was a professional retreat. He wrote that his clients may have been misinformed and were withdrawing their claim of shared ownership pending review. He requested time. Daniel replied with one sentence. "All communication will go through counsel. Any return to the property without permission will be treated as trespass." That mattered more than anything else. It made the next steps predictable. Still, Daniel continued. He handed me a checklist. "Credit freeze," he said. "We do it now, not because I expect identity theft, but because they've already shown poor judgment." We spent the afternoon securing everything. Bank passphrases, email recovery settings, passwords, account protections. Daniel filed a notice with the county recorder for additional verification on any future filings. Then he gave me a trespass notice template. "If they come back," he said, "you hand this over and call the deputy. No discussion." I nodded. That evening, after Daniel left, I walked through the cabin with a notepad. Front door locks replace, back door replace, windows check, gate reinforce, cameras install. The next day, I bought what I needed. Not expensive, just reliable. By afternoon, locks were changed. Cameras installed, one facing the driveway, one the porch. Nothing excessive, just enough for clarity. The cabin felt stable again, not because it was quiet, but because it was protected by process. A week passed, no contact. Then 2, then 3. Daniel emailed, all claims withdrawn, title clear, no filings. I printed it and filed it in the lockbox. That night, I sat on the porch with tea, listening to the lake. I didn't feel victory. I felt order and relief. I realized something else. The trust didn't just protect property, it protected my time, my focus, my ability to exist without pressure. Days became routine. Mornings, coffee, quiet, no notifications. Afternoons, repairs, organization. Evenings, reading, rest, no conflict, just stability. I heard updates indirectly. My uncle took temporary work. My dad worked more. My mom stopped posting online. Kyle stayed quiet. No apologies came. At first that mattered, then it didn't. Because what I needed wasn't an apology. It was consistency. And I had that. One day in town, a store clerk said, "You did the right thing protecting yourself." I didn't ask how she knew. I just said thank you. Later, I found a note in my mailbox from a neighbor asking for a good attorney. I understood immediately. This wasn't rare, just hidden. I decided I'd give him Daniel's number. Nothing more. Sometimes help isn't advice, it's direction. That night, I sat on the porch again, watching the lake. The cabin didn't feel like a reward. It felt like responsibility. And for the first time, the rules made sense.